Hey everyone, welcome to the Steve Reality Review Show. Thanks so much for checking us out. Today we're talking about two products from Deuce Gala, and I'm David Peace, and I'm with Steve Spade. Steve, how are you doing?
Good man, how are you? I'm on the road again, so in the car.
Always, that's the way it is.
I should live in it. I just live in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we're talking about two things that Michael O'Brien very nicely sent us from Deuce Gala. I've
Cool.
had a look at them. I've been messing with them. I've been performing them. You haven't had a chance to check them out yet. So
Mhm.
the way this is going to work, it's kind of like you're going to be asking the questions that we hope everybody else is going to be asking about them. So we might as well get straight into it. We'll go for the first one. We'll go for is the PokéMonte. So I'll describe the trick to start off with. So PokéMonte is it's a color Monty. It's not really Joe like a stand-up Monty, that sort of thing, like the three-card Monty. It's color Monty where you get the red diamond, the blue diamond, and then in the end you get the sucker card of like you owe me $5 or whatever that is, that the little pack
Yeah.
trick. So it's basically that routine, but with like a Pokemon cards and a Pokemon themed performance. So you can get this with just instructions if you want to get your own cards. But Michael O'Brien actually sent over the cards to me, so I got them. So we might as well start off with what you get. So I'll just go show you what I actually got. So you get the instructions card, which I won't show you because it's the instructions card, and you get cards. You get the Pokemon cards, and you get these energy cards here. So you get the 3 energy cards and 4 Pokemon cards. You get the starter
Awesome.
Pokemon plus Pikachu. So if you watch the trailer, watch the performance, you kind of know what it is. So it's and it's like their actual Pokemon cards, like they're good quality and all that sort of stuff. And then the instructions come into it as well. But yeah, that's pretty much what you get. So you get the 7 cards, and it comes in a little packet, kind of like those Pokemon packets you got with the foil. Those foil packets that you get with the Pokemon cards in like years
Okay,
ago.
yeah.
It comes in a
Yeah.
pack like that. And in the instructions, Michael talks about just going and buying a pack of Pokemon cards and just keeping these inside one of those sleeves and then changing it every few weeks or every few performances, or when it gets tattered, basically. You can just swap out a new one. It's a nice way to carry
Nice.
it
Looks
in your pocket.
impromptu as well. Looks like you just took it or bought it in the store or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
exactly. It kind of makes it feel more organic, and like you could even make it an EDC because that could fit in your wallet depending on the size of your wallet and that sort of stuff. Like, so yeah,
Sure.
it's pretty good for what
Yeah.
you get.
Color Monty's a great trick anyway. I mean, it's such a good classic, so it's nice that he kind of adapted just that handling and stuff like that, and the actual cards itself. Very cool.
Yeah. Because like the next thing I always go through is like, is it a difficult trick? And it's like it's not that difficult. There are like it is a sleight of hand heavy trick, but Color Monty's a beginner packet trick really for a lot of people. It's one we all got early on, so it's like it's not something if you're very new to Magic that you could pick up like immediately. But it's not the most complicated sleight of hand. Joe, if you know what I mean, I still think it's a good beginner trick.
And a great
Especially
packet
yeah,
trick.
yeah, especially Pokemon cards. Like it's great for like Pokemon's really popular. Like my nephew loves Pokemon. He's 5, so it's like it's still around for young people. So young people get into Magic. Like it's a great way to make it because it's always weird like doing gambling presentations when you're a kid. Like I found that growing up and stuff. But like having this
Sure.
thing. But yeah, it's not self-working basically, but it's some basic sleight of hand that you should be able to pick up pretty straightforward with that for it. And like it is something that I have been performing it a bit, trying it out, and it is it is like it's not that difficult to do. Like it's not, especially if you're familiar with Color Monty, like
Nice as well, and it gives you, if if the slides are easy, and Michael's gone through that and stuff with people, it gives you more kind of opportunity if it's easy and there's not too many slides, just to put loads of time into the presentation and enjoy that side of things. So there's pros and cons to it not being too heavy on slides.
yeah, because like that kind of related to like what the instructions are like, because like it is really well taught. Like if you have any of the Deuce Gala stuff, like it's good quality, it's well shot. There are studio performances of it, him performing it there, and then the instructions, like he goes through all the moves. There's over the shoulder close ups of everything as well. Like so, it's really well taught, and it's like it's nice if you know it, the routine. You can kind of just watch through it and you pick it up. You don't need to watch the whole instructions. But if you're new to it, you can really it's kind of there for everybody, really. Like which I think is really good, and the camera quality and stuff's really good as well. Because yeah, it is one of those things that like any routine, you might have to watch it a few times, just go like, oh, what do I do now? Well, what's this? Because it's like it's a phased routine. It's like at the start, you show that the 3 starter Pokemon, you make a gag that like nobody picks Bulbasaur is like the gag of it, and then you go through the routine where you show that you've all Squirtles now you've all Charmanders, now you've all Bulbasaurs, and then you say you went to pick one, but the person before you picked Charmander, the person before the next person picked Squirtle, so you were left with one card, and the only card that you could choose was, and the Spectre says Bulbasaur, and you've got Pikachu. So it's a nice kicker ending, like where the Pikachu come from gets that effect, but it's like from the instructions, it's really well broken down into like this is the first bit you have to do this bit, so you can go back over it a few times, because it took me a bit to just remember the entire sequence, like, you know, that sort of way when it's not a routine.
Yeah, packaging like that, they can be heavy enough on slides, but just they're gradual and they kind of work all together as one. Then, but it's nice. I mean, the kicker of Pikachu at the end is it's pretty strong. That's good, because they're never going to say that out of all of them. They're not gonna expect that. The beauty of that
They've
trick.
never seen it, like, so that was it anywhere. Because it's like you also get taught a kicker ending, so I don't really want to like expose the kicker ending, but anybody who knows anything about Magic like will get it. There's the spectator thinks of either grass type, fire type, and water type Pokemon, which one they'd go for, and then at the end you can show that you had predicted which one they go for from the beginning, and like without going to it, like it all makes sense, you know. Well, no matter what one they name, it makes sense that you were able to predict it and that sort of thing. So it's like and it can also be either predicted or influenced as well, which is a nice like subtlety variation that you can do.
Yeah, you can have a reveal on your social media or whatever. Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, you can really mix it up into what you want. So, do you have any questions about this yourself?
I mean, I've always loved Color Monte. I always thought it was a great trick, and it's great just with you know regular cards and stuff as well. But I like the presentation idea of this, especially this will hit. It's like Harry Potter, you know, it hits loads of different genres from kids into adults that are into Pokemon. Remember that app, the game that everyone was playing where they were catching them, yeah, all that. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of like right on the money for Michael to bring this out now. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like some of the questions you see is like, can you perform this in like corporate settings, weddings? Like I've had a couple of weddings that I've been performed. I brought this to, and like it's not something I've done at every table, but it's something that like for the right group, especially like if I see people like my age group, I know that like one of the presentational bits in it is like we all have really difficult decisions to make in my life, and the most difficult decision I ever had to make was which Pokemon to choose. And then you go into that way, and it's like everybody remembers that of like the age group. And it's also like I did it to couples when there was kids there, but also I did do it for the adults, like kind of maybe slightly older than me type group. But as long as there's somebody like that, even if there's like you see someone with their parents who's like my age and their parents, or someone in the mid-20s and their parents know how much the kid was obsessed with when they were a kid, how much they were obsessed with Pokemon and stuff like that. So it's like you can find the way into it. And I do think it's kind of, it can depend on your persona a bit, because like for me, I'm quite a nerdy type person anyway. Like, you know, I play into that in my kind of like presentation of myself and how I act. So for me to be like have Pokemon cards is normal. But then like if you don't think that Pokemon cards suit your character, then it's not a trick for you. But you probably wouldn't have bought it anyway. So
even if people aren't really like aware, like everyone's aware of what Pokemon are, but like you're saying, an older audience or whatever, and they're milling around. Nearly everyone, because of the movie franchise and everything else with Pikachu, they know what that is, you know, or they know that he's yellow or whatever. So like I think there's enough pop culture around us that people know what it is, regardless of being into it or not, you know.
And it's a routine that's full of visual magic as well. That's the other thing that like from frequently asked questions, I think, is that like it's visual the whole way through. So like even if people aren't into Pokemon, it might as well be playing cards. You know, like what's anybody here about a blue diamond and a red diamond? It's the visual magic that gets people. So just stick with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all built in there in the classic kind of effect anyway. Yeah. But you're right as well. I mean, people are going to gravitate just to the actual effect anyway, because it's the constant changes and then the kicker ending. So, yeah, no, I think it's a winner. I think it's cool.
Yeah, because I think then like the last thing to kind of go through with this is like, is there anything I didn't like about it? And I'm trying to like go through it for me. Like for me, I'm not going to be. I haven't done it with the kicker ending. For me, I am still thinking about it, maybe coming up with different ways of doing it, because it is something that can take up more pocket space, if you know what I mean. Kind of like hinting at the method, but I'm going there with like, you know, it's like those sort of things. So especially want it to be clean, and especially when you're doing like for me, it might be more of like an EDC style effect type thing. I'm carrying with me just like in my pocket or something like that, and then I'm not going to do the kicker ending because there's a bit of thought needs to be put into that for that. So it's a bit different. And then with the so I think it's not like I don't like the kicker ending, but I actually think it's not needed. If anything, it's like it's a nice kicker ending, but it's nice to have the option. But for me, if I'm like doing the routine more and more, I think I'm just gonna stick with the 3 guards rather than going into that. And that is something that Michael talks about in the instruction, that you don't need to do it. But
And
yeah, I think that's
if you're going to use it while hopping around, and use it in that kind of environment, you're probably just going to bring it back down to its simplest form, just so it's not, like you said, taking up extra space and bits and pieces. So yeah,
because like in one of the performances, you see like the person picks fire. So Michael Bryan, like in that performance, brings out his wallet, and it's a fire wallet, and closes the wallet, and the cards in there, and it's like it's really
nice.
cool. But like, I don't carry fire wallet with me, like it's that sort of stuff. So it's nice to have the kicker ending there, but it's not something maybe that I'll be doing maybe on the occasion if I can think of something, or like if it's in right. It's like it's a nice to have, but it's not something that I'm gonna be doing. I think this routine's strong enough without it as well.
Cool.
And yeah, so I guess we just move on to rating for this one, because I think one thing that I really like about it as well, and even for people just thinking about it, just the fact that this effect came out, is that like gets you thinking about what packet tricks you can switch up into being other things. That like if you're into Yu-Gi-Oh, you could use Yu-Gi-Oh cards. If you're into like the soccer sticker trading card things, if you could stick them on card, so you can actually do some side hand rolling and stickers. Like if you could do it with those match attack type soccer cards, or
I've done
cards.
Standard kind of sleight of hand stuff with just being at like a nephew's house or whatever, and there's could be match attacks or something, and you end up having to do something because they're like, "Oh, do this," and even just a slight with that, because people aren't expecting it, can be very, very powerful.
Yeah, because even for me, just messing with these 4 cards, I do like the Gemini Twins routine. With it's 2 black kings, 2 black queens, and there's a red queen, and a jack comes in at the end, and all that sort of stuff. So I was messing around when I come up with routines. So even just having the 4 Pokemon cards, I find it being really handy for that sort of stuff. And that's why for me as a rating, it's like it's not a every table style thing, but it is something that I'll have with me, and for the right group, I'll definitely pull out and go for, because I think at the right moment, it's like at a wedding, I maybe like just 20 groups, I might do for 3 or 4 of them, that sort of way, if I feel like the vibe is right and that sort of thing. So I definitely think it's something I'm going to be carrying with me and using quite a bit. Because like for people who haven't watched one of the reviews here before, I don't give like a rating. It's more the rating is how I'd use it. So for me, it's something that I'd use maybe if I'm meeting up with childhood friends for a drink or something. I might carry it with me because I think it'll fit in that moment in like everyday life, and then at gigs and stuff. Because it's like if you're not doing the kicker ending, that's the pocket space. Like you might as well have it with you, and you just need to practice the routine a few times, because that is one of the things with routines like this where you don't do it that often. Maybe, and it's quite a long routine, that it's nice to have the refreshers. That's why the instructions can be quite handy for that as well.
Cool, very good.
Yeah, so that's the rating for PokéMonte. Really like it. I think it's really clever thinking. It's actually made me start looking at other packet tricks and things like that. And even at Color Monte, what else could I use in Color Monte? So I really like it. Great stuff. Great work by Deuce Gala again. And thanks to Michael for sending it on. Really appreciate it. That's been really good. Awesome. So the next one we're going to be talking about is another Deuce Gala release that he sent on to us, which is called Sus. So that's sent on. So you get some stuff here. So before I go through that, I'll just briefly explain what is Sus. So Sus is a kind of a brainwave style effect about the game Among Us. So I wasn't familiar with Among Us before, but it's a mobile online game where you play as a character, the little spacemen, and one person in there is a murderer, and everybody's trying to find out who the murderer is without trying to get murdered. So it's kind of a bit like Clue or Cluedo or that sort of thing in space. So even in the performance on the things, when Michael's performing it, he talks about, he explains it kind of that way to people who aren't familiar with it, that it's kind of like Cluedo in space. So it's that sort of thing. So if we go through what you get with it, so you get this box there. So Sus. And you can get the instructions inside, and it so kind of opens up. It's kind of like a flat back thing when you open it up, and inside you get these cards. Here, yes, that's all of them. And you get You get this emergency button that's used trying to trick, and these are sort of the characters from the video games. You just get loads of these. So basically, throughout the routine, you're going to have the person pick one of these. You'll go through them. They say stop, or you can go through them this way, and they pick one. And basically, there's a lot of them are crewmates, and then one of them is the imposter. So basically, the routine is the spectators trying to find the murderer as they go through it, and you can use the colors here as sort of like a color style psychology thing. Talk about the colors that influence them and that sort of stuff. So, it kind of works similar to like a brainwave style thing where all the cards are the same except for one, and the spectator finds that one. So that's what you get, and you get the online instructions as well, similar to PokéMonte, with Michael teaching it in the Deuce Gala studio. So that's kind of the overall description of the effect and what you get. Do you have any questions on that? Because I know you haven't seen this before.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. I've seen the characters. I've seen them just online and whatever. But yeah, I like that presentation though as well. That kind of brainwave idea where it can be one or it can be the other. The other way around is always kind of cool. And that's a nice kind of play on an effect as well. And it's like again, it's just switching up another classic into new kind of props handling and all that kind of stuff. It's very cool.
Yeah, because like if we go into like is it difficult? Like we all know this. Like anybody who's experienced a magic reading knows what this is. Once you say like brainwave style thing, people get it. Like it's Max Maven style routine. It's based on that. And the but what's interesting with this is because it's kind of based on a game. In the game, it's always loads of crewmates and one imposter. It's never a situation where there's loads of imposters and one crewmate. So Michael has really cleverly scripted this and choreographed it so that it's always loads of crewmates and one imposter, no matter which one they pick. So he has like ways of getting, if it's not going exactly how you want, there's ways of getting around that and making it so that you always get the perfect ending, which I think is really nice because it's like that was one of the things I was thinking about when I was first watching performances of it. Like, oh, does it really make sense the other way? But it never happens the other way, if that makes sense. It's always the way you want it to be, which I think is really clever. That is something that makes it slightly more difficult than maybe traditional versions of this trick, because you might have to do a little bit to, it's maybe a bit more like audience management-y or routine reframing type stuff can kind of come into it that way without going into too much. But it's like it flies by. It's not anything like, oh no, don't pick that one, pick a different one. It's like it's cleverer than that. So it's like it's not that, like from the sleight hand point of view, it's a lot easier than PokéMonte, but it's like it's not that hard at all. It's quite a fun thing to play with. It's like I've done it a few times now, and like I was actually surprised how many people knew what these were, and even like you people who haven't played the game stuff, like they've seen these characters around and they're actually interested to be like, oh, that's what that is, because I've seen these everywhere, or my kid's really into that game or something as well. So like it's quite popular that way.
Cool.
And again, just go through the instructions. Very similar studio instructions. You should go through them. Studio instructions, and the close-ups over the shoulder, whatever you want. It's all kind of like really well filmed, because like with this is left side hand, so it's not really as much like the over-the-shoulder slow motion-y type stuff. But it's very well explained, very clear. It's broken down into this is the basic. This is what you do. This is like one way. This is the other way. You get through the whole thing, and it's it's not that long as well. Sometimes you're like dragging your way through instructions, but it's not that long. It just gets through it really quickly and nice. So I really think the instructions are top notch. Which all the Deuce Gala stuff really is. The instructions are just like what you want.
Yeah, straight to the point. Yeah, absolutely.
So then for the frequently asked questions, do you have any questions about this, or it's pretty like a straightforward effect? I think it's one things that like you're familiar with.
Would you perform it? Would it be a carry? Would you carry it?
Yeah, like I think it's one of those things. I'm trying to I've just been putting like an elastic band around these and carrying them that way. But I don't want them to get too like tattered up. So I was thinking of putting them like if I can get a case of them, I think it'd be good because they're a bit thick to kind of fit in like a wallet or something.
Okay.
But I do think it's a again, I think a wedding it kind of works quite well. If you're doing like a family restaurant, that sort of thing, I think it's good. I think it can work corporate if you make it in. I think it's again another thing because I'm quite like nerdy. People think I'm into that sort of stuff, so it like fly by me, so I can actually get away with carrying this. But again, if you're someone who's
And would you be able to justify them? Like, I mean, if they were like, what are sometimes even if you're using cards, for like movies and stuff, that have different movie reveals and whatever. If you're doing a routine, I'd often say, oh, this is a packet of cards that was given to me, or I got it from a magazine or whatever, just to give it some real
Yeah,
life
yeah.
justification. So you
So
could
I
say
think
it's something
these cards like could be like
at a
a
trade show.
board. Yeah, it could be a
Yeah,
board game version of the mobile game
the
or
game.
something like
Yeah,
that.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I've always said them. Is like, oh, this is like a board game version of them, and then just go into it from there.
Yeah,
Like especially when you're kind of using Cluedo or Clue to justify it, the fact that there's a board game version just makes sense because they are board games, so people
yeah,
it kind of like flies by. So yeah, I don't think it's that hard to justify them at all,
no,
and people really get it. And I think as well, you could do this corporate as well, like because you can talk about imposter and all that sort of stuff. Is really like you can get into like the corporate stuff with that and things like that. So I think it is if it's something that you think like video games future.
if you're doing like a company that are into video games or any kind of pop culture kind of stuff, or a younger company or a Google or whatever, they're all going to know what they are. So like it would fly by, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And even like again, once you justify that as like it's like Clue, people who don't know the game get it. They get the idea perfectly. And it's
Yeah,
just like anything. It's like where you just have like a black X on the back or whatever. It's like you just like justifying them is just as weird as anything. So I think it flies by.
yeah,
I
yeah.
get
Cool, very cool.
you. Yeah, so I think that's thing there. If there's anything I don't like for this, it's hard because it's like it's a routine I like. I've done many versions of that before. Like I've a lot of versions of this. Uh, I can't like think. I think it's one of those things that for me, because I'm not into the like I don't play Among Us. I've actually downloaded and tried to give it a go. So like initially I was like, oh, what is this? It took me a bit of time to get it. So I think that could be something that it's like if you're not into Among Us, people might overlook it type thing. But I still think it could be worth picking up that sort of way that like
Yeah,
you can it's not that hard to learn about to make it sound like you're into it in that sort of stuff, and it's strong and it's incredibly popular that sort of way. So it's a really popular game. I'm trying to think of stuff that I don't like about it. It's actually because it's
well,
like it's a tried and true method, and it's just a pop culture version of a
yeah.
classic routine. So there's not really
So
much I can say negatively about it.
so it's going to work. Yeah, it's going to work. It's tied and tested. And I suppose one negative you were saying you're just wrapping an elastic band around it. Would you been happier if it come in a little box or a little case or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, maybe like 'cause, like it comes in this box, but this
Yeah.
box has like the name of the trick on it, Deuce Gala presents, and the instructions. So like I'm not going to be carrying it around in this like in performance. So yeah, maybe if it was like
Sleeve or something.
yeah, like a sleeve or even just those like the black boxes that eclipse come in or something like that. Just some way
Right.
of like transporting it because I get like I've been carrying it to the gig and back from the gig in this. But it's just when it's in my pocket walking around, it can get a bit tattered, it can get a bit damaged and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. And I think even like it would be cool to have like an Among Us box that like made it look like the card game version of Among Us.
Right.
Again, help justify it. That could be a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I
a
think like
clip,
something
like
like that.
a card clip or something, maybe or something. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
what you mean.
because if you
Cool.
had a box that looked like it came like that, it was like this is an Among Us card box that like
Hmm.
card Among Us card game just on a box with like little men running around. Like that would just fly by and it might be uh, nice and clear for people as well. So yeah, there could be that would be one thing that you could do with it. You could probably make one up yourself or find something to do with it, but it would be nice. But again, it's not that expensive and check the price of it at the moment. It's we'll see here. Yeah, it's only $20 as well. So it's like for $20 you wouldn't really be expecting the box with it, but
Yeah, of course.
it could be maybe like an added extra, like an extra $5 you get a box, something like that could be cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other thing is like both PokéMonte and Sus a very good value for money. So like that is that like for $20,
And
it's
it
very good.
is a card trick, but it's not a card trick, and that's what makes it good, because as a magician, when people you put out their cards, it's I've seen it or whatever, they've seen cards, but they haven't seen this, and you're still using classical sleight of hand with it, so it works fine. you know. So
Yeah, and
that's
they've got like they're not exactly like paper, you know.
yeah,
Like they've got a bit of like gloss or plastic or something like that on them that
right.
like I wouldn't be worried about putting this down on a drinks table, you know, that sort of way. I would
Yeah,
I think it's really
yeah,
good. Yeah,
cool.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, for rating for this is something that I think I'll probably be like it's less really of an EDC for me because carrying around it's a bit thicker than like the PokéMonte stuff. I see it as something that maybe be more in like my close-up case because I have a few brainwave style effects.
Mm-hmm.
I have the one that came with I think Luca Volpe put it out with his the close-up or the close-up mentalism set that he put out during the pandemic. I
Yeah.
have a version in that. I have a version, just a classic version as well, and I kind of have them in my case type thing or in my bag. I just bring them out when I need them. So I think it's going to be in there with them. And depending on the people at the event and like the vibe I'm getting, I'll pick one of them. But I definitely it's going to
Could
be
be
in
like
rotation.
a second trick back as well. You know, if you're in a group and you just got chatting about whatever and somebody mentioned it, like, I mean, if you went back to your case and you had it there, then it's the
Absolutely.
perfect trick to bring back. That's almost a trick in itself that you had exactly what that they're into or whatever. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
having some extra stuff with you, you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in.
Yeah, and there's like a like where I'm living, like this Blizzard is here, which is a big gaming company, or they were here. I don't know if they still are, but that
Mhm.
was a big one. But there's other gaming companies like Game Shark and all those stuff is around here.
Yeah.
So there is possibilities for these to be used. So absolutely, yeah, absolutely, it's going to be in my close-up bag and used when I have the right time. And I think it's one of the tricks that you might need to think about as much as well. So it's you know the routine. It's just the
Yeah.
second handling just to make sure that it always works is really good. So yeah, that's it for those routines. And again, just thanks so much to Michael O'Brien for sending these on. We really do appreciate them. Great quality products all around.
Nice.
Great quality instructions. It's absolutely perfect. So thanks so much, Michael, and we'll be back with more reviews. If you have anything you want, let us know. I got some new stuff recently, so I'll be reviewing all of them from the 1914 and from Volpine as well. So keep an eye out on the channel for them. There'll be more reviews coming.
Yep.
And thanks
Cool.
again for tuning in. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Michael. Cheers. Yeah, no problem at all, man. Thanks for having me on. And
Thanks, Michael.
yeah, no, they're great. They're great products. They really, really are. And all the stuff he's been producing has just been really, really cool and really different and outside the box. So it's nice. It's just he's like a little bit off mainstream, which is awesome. You know, you're gonna find
Yeah.
some nuggets with Michael. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, definitely go check him out. And we'll be back soon with the podcast. We're lining up some people at the moment. So yeah, it's all go, man. The year's kicked off like crazy. So we're all going, oh, January is quiet, but now it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, and I moved house in this whole time, as people might notice. My background's a bit different, but yeah,
Yeah,
so that's why there's been a big break, a lot of stuff going on. But yeah,
yeah.
thanks for that, and check out we have the links down below so you can get these tricks if you like them. Definitely check them out. We highly recommend, and see you next time.
Cool.
Thanks so
See you
much.
next time. All the best.
Bye.
Bye bye.